Hello, happy Friday, good morning, and welcome to PsychCandy for July 8th. We've made it to the end of the week, thank God. Deanna, welcome to the show. So glad you're here.
Oh, thanks. Super glad to be here. Sorry I couldn't make it work last time, but here we are.
That's right, here we are. It's all good. Sometimes all of our schedules are crazy. How's your week been?
Good. Did you guys realize that I did a show with Alex? We cooked on camera together? She's in New Orleans right now.
Wait, with you
Allison
cut out for a
cooked.
minute. With who? Oh,
Allison.
nice.
She's in New
Nice.
Orleans, and we did a cooking show together
All right, well, I
last
missed
night.
this. I need to
Go catch
watch
the
this.
replay. It's
I'm
fun.
going to, for sure, for sure. Well, everybody, welcome to the show. Deanna, good to see you. Summer, glad you're here. Everybody watching on YouTube, welcome, and everybody on Twitch, welcome. So today's kind of part two, and I asked my beautiful friend Deanna to join me today because we're just going to kind of we're going to shift into part two of finding your truth. Now, yesterday I talked about our authenticity, how important it is for us to be real and be genuine, but also paying close attention to like us. Are we being real with us? Are we being real with our approach? Are we being real with where we are, who we are, what we want, what we do, all these kind of things. So today, Deanna and I we're going to discuss the aspects of values, our value system. Now, Deanna, I'm going to tell you right now, this week was it was the universe lining this up because I've had so many conversations this week with patients, with friends, with colleagues that people are just making some bad choices.
Yeah.
People are just not letting go of they're not letting go of past, they're tucking it away, they're band-aiding, they're doing these
Mm-hmm.
things, being hurt from a past relationship, but then constantly trying to find that new relationship. And those kind of things. It's not just with romantic, it's friendships too. And so that begs the question, how and what has happened to our value system when it comes to operating our own life and developing new relationships?
Yeah. And, I was reading something recently. It talked about, basically our identity is formed from our beliefs, our values, and the rules we set for ourselves.
That's
And
right.
so if you don't know what your values are, kind of look at the rules that you live by and back into it. And you'll start to recognize, oh, okay, well, obviously this is where my values lie. And then you can go backwards a little bit more and say, well, actually, do I believe that still? Because I think a
Right.
lot of times our values are based in things that we were given growing up. Maybe it has a religious overtone. Maybe it has the way our parents
Hmm.
ruled and ran things, I mean, and then we start
Yeah.
living by rules that don't serve us anymore. And, you know, just kind of like that. So I know for me, when I went through my divorce and was approaching a new relationship, and it was some time afterwards, some like 7 years. But I was approaching the new relationship and I said, here are the deal breakers. And I had kind of a list of not necessarily what I wanted, but what I didn't want. And I don't think that's
Yeah.
necessarily the best approach either. Just saying.
Right.
I do think I made the right choice, by the way, because I'm married to him.
Well, that's and that's a good thing.
but
Yeah.
but I realized that some of the deal breakers that I thought were deal breakers
Hmm.
weren't deal breakers. It was more important of the values that I thought I needed, and that was somebody who accepted me exactly as I am.
And that's
And
important.
you know, spiraling and everything, just handling it without skipping a beat,
Hmm.
and you know, being supportive. So
Well, and it comes from that place, and I was talking about this yesterday. It comes from that place too of, we cannot lose sight of our own ability of compassion, our own
mm,
ability of having that self-respect but mutual respect, looking and seeking actual reciprocation from other people, because that reciprocation is where you're going to, and that understanding and self-awareness of compassion and empathy, that's where you're going to have that kind of support when you do meet somebody and they do take you as you are and where you are, and
right.
understand that, look, we're all human beings. We all have a
Right.
past. We've all come through some stuff. There's always going to be bumps in our pathway, and so it's important though that we have to understand what that is for us first, and then we are able to hopefully open up and give that to somebody else. You know,
Yeah,
and
and what's your opinion here? So this is something that I teach and I coach on, and it is the concept of um, to delete, unfriend, and block. And I talk about this. I talk about this like everybody is a part of social media, but I talk about it in the sense that I'm not a big fan of like throwing people away. That's not what I mean when I say delete, right?
right,
I
right,
also see, that there's different levels in relationships,
yep,
and family. You might not want to delete your family member, right, from your life, but still being able to set certain boundaries and certain
hmm
things that allow you to protect your own peace and your own values
right.
is also still very, very important, regardless of what level that relationship is on.
Well, okay, so all right, I want to make sure I'm answering your question. So,
Hmm.
what's your question related
So
to
I
that?
just, I guess,
Because I
I
could
guess
go
my
into five doors from from what you
right.
just said. So,
Pick door
okay,
number one. No,
that's
so
right.
no, so I guess my question here in that, especially coming from because I come from a coaching standpoint, so I'm
Right,
dealing with
right.
now and moving forward, and you're dealing with people on a broader level because you're delving into some of their past to help them be able to break through some of
Right.
those beliefs to move forward. And I guess my question here is, what is your take on being able to set those boundaries properly in the different concentric circles that move out from you when it comes to, unfriending and blocking people from access to you?
Well, and I think, see, this has been one of the problems right now, and I think this ties in great to the value system aspect. Look,
Mm-hmm.
there are toxic people. We get ingrained with toxic people. We get attached to toxic mindsets and all this kind of thing. It's extremely important to be able to set that boundary for yourself. And it's hard sometimes. You might be
Mm-hmm.
closing somebody off that's been attached to you for years or whatever, and you might even be closing off a family member. If that's what's needed in order for you to be in the most healthiest aspect for you in your own life, then
Mm-hmm.
absolutely you need to do that. And then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I support all three: delete, block, move on. Because
Right.
as long as you stay connected and attached to that toxicity, then that's what you're bringing into your life. And now you're operating less than. You're operating
Mm-hmm.
below 100% for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, when do you determine whether the person is important enough that you keep some level of, and then some, at some point you close it? Like, so for me, for instance, with my son, I'm not willing to close that door. He's doing a whole lot better, but there was a period in time where I felt like, maybe he needed some quote unquote tough love, right?
Okay.
And I don't know, I think everybody operates differently, but I'm not a big tough love person. I think that connection and love is what is supports people and lets them know that they're worthy, and hopefully that stops them from going further. So while I don't want to support a behavior, I want to support the person.
Right.
And and but the flip side is I have a friend whose toxic behaviors were so damaging that at some point I just had to step away and say, you know um, I got a lot of other things that I need to worry about. And if this is the way you choose, then our
hmm
paths are divergent.
Right.
And
Right.
so,
Well,
you know,
because it's important to realize that, okay, like let's take for example for a sec, then or let's look at the situation with your son. All right, and we're going to say, and this is true, would be with any kind of family member, but there's that point where you're not necessarily going to delete and block off your son, but in a manner of still loving and supporting the person, there can be that time where, you know what, we're gonna take a space. I'm gonna make a healthy space. I'm gonna let you have your bubble, but I'm also gonna have my bubble.
mm-hmm,
and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay to do, and it's also self-preservation on your end, and that's and that's something it is. It's very hard to do with family because
Right.
you don't want to, especially if you're a parent, you don't want to do that to your kid. But at the same token, are you helping yourself and are you helping them? Because
Right.
if you stay connected and they're not dealing with their end, then they're not holding up their end of that, and that's the time that you're like, you know what? I've been here from A to M, and now I'm going to
Hmm.
give you some space. I'm going to
Hmm.
let you kind of think about where you're at, what you want, where you're going, and I'm going to be
Right.
right here. I'm still mom,
Right.
but I'm gonna also go and do me. I'm gonna go take care
Right.
of me.
Right. Yeah.
you know.
And I do. I think that's healthy. I think that is what happened. And I think also, in those son or a sibling or anybody else that you would say is close, maybe in that inner circle, them seeing you stand up and take that stand for yourself,
Yeah.
I think that is probably a as big of an impact as anything else, any words, any support that you can give. It's letting
Yeah.
people, when you say, oh, you teach people how to treat you, what you're doing is saying um, to them that this is important to me, this is my value system, and I'm standing
Hmm.
my ground on this thing,
That's right.
And I think that other people learn to respect that when
Yeah,
they see you
and
do it.
it's very important to pay attention to those people that are connected to you that don't.
Mm,
That's the time to start looking to see who really is there and who really does support you as a person or who is supporting you for other reasons or other gains, right?
right.
And that's
Yeah.
where and again, like with your friend, I mean, the friend you had to maybe cut off, well, they were probably your friend for years, and all of a sudden
Childhood.
it's just like,
It
yeah.
was,
So and so that's ingrained, and I did the same thing. I mean, I had people I cut off at the beginning of this year that they had been in my life for the last 15 years, you know and it was like, you know what, but it's not healthy. You don't bring anything healthy to the table. You're just toxic, and I've kept
right.
you around. Why? Just because you've always been there? It's no. Like,
Right.
I'm done. I'm done. It's time for you. You want to go live your toxic life, you go live your toxic life, but I'm going to go take care of me now. you know
Right. Right.
so
And it is, I think sometimes, we don't know when to draw that line, but like
yeah.
you said, I think that if you listen to yourself, this is one of the tests I give my clients that I coach.
Okay.
If you open your phone and you look at the last 5 texts from people in your phone list, not some advertisement, not your
Hmm.
insurance company telling you your money's coming out tomorrow, just the last 5 people who actually meaningfully texted you, and just listen to your body when you look at that text message or that person's text message when it came in,
Yes. Yes.
because your body does not lie. Sometimes this happens even with my mom, right?
Right.
Which
Right.
is not a toxic person in my life, by the way, just so we're clear. But I'm just saying, sometimes I'm like, ugh, if
Yeah.
you listen to your body and those top 5 people, and you have somebody whose reaction in your body and your bones goes, I just don't have the bandwidth to deal with this person anymore, that's your clue
Yeah.
that you've
That's right.
reached your limit,
That's right.
of where you can go with that person. Until, it's not to say there's never, the door can remain open.
Right.
It's just to say that right now, that's just not the that is not the thing that's beneficial to you right
I,
now.
I like that metaphor. My bandwidth. I don't. I ain't got the bandwidth, baby.
Right.
My
Eh,
modem's broken, sweetheart. I need you to.
exactly.
And
Look,
we're not
I'm
going to
tech
dial up.
challenged.
So yeah.
Right. I am
Right.
tech challenged, so it's a really great metaphor for me, because I'm always
I
like,
love
oh
it.
my God, I don't know what I'm doing here. Why isn't anything
Oh
work?
man, I love it.
So,
No, but
but I mean, I think
it's
that's a
true.
good test, a little good rule of thumb, because sometimes I don't think we know our values. I don't
We
think we've
don't,
thought about it.
and that's a good. This is a good jump point for a second because I want to go to the aspect of when we look at values and we look at how we are operating. Now, again, this is something I've been dealing with this entire week, and the thing is, I've got uh, I got some patients that I deal with. I do some family counseling, and we're talking about they're dealing with issues like with 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds. That guess what?
Yeah.
Phone, social media, social media. I mean, dude, there are children out there putting on, doing very inappropriate stuff on TikTok, on
Right.
Instagram or whatever. And
Hmm.
then, so here's my point. Now, where does that lie? It's like, oh, well, it's just because they got, they just simply got onto a site they shouldn't have gotten into, or they did. No, it's as parents, have we given up because we are so ingrained? Look, there's not a single adult that I know that I hang around, okay, that doesn't have phone in hand. And I look, and I'm guilty. I can't say much because I have to have my phone. My phone has to be with me every day, all day. All right. But do I have time that I put it aside? Yeah. And am I sitting here on TikTok 24/7?
Right.
And on, no, I'm not. But
Yeah.
that's what we're building, though. We're building that kind of value system that really, who are your good friends? Oh, yeah, it's my best friend on, we're friends on Facebook.
Hmm.
We're friends on, we're friends on social media.
Right.
We don't
Right.
get together and have dinner. We
Right.
won't get together. No, but they're my best friend. We've followed each other for the last 10 years. That's the value system certain people are starting to place, and that's what stems into that other mindset where the idea and the action of people being disposable has become a norm.
Right. And
People have
that's
been
why I said I don't approach delete in that sense. Right.
right.
Exactly.
No, yeah. If you go and delete and block, you're doing that for very specific reasons on that level.
On
But
purpose. Right.
we are, yeah. But no, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about where it's like, I mean, men and women both are guilty of this. But we get with somebody, and oh my goodness, they did one little thing that maybe reminded you of your past, and so you're like, oh, okay, well, fuck you, let's break up, I'm done. Or they don't even go that far. They just go ahead and find the next person, and then remove your current person. Man, let me tell you something. This is the most damaging, harmful aspect that you could ever do for yourself and how you handle relationships. And in addition to that, if you have children, think about what they're watching, because let me tell you something. An 8-year-old little girl, 10-year-old little girl, a little boy, they are watching what mommy and daddy do and how they handle other people and how they handle relationships. And you are teaching them how to do the exact same thing that you're doing.
Right. You're modeling, and that's the only way they learn. And that's why there's so much as adults that we have to undo from our childhood.
Yes, you're
Every
right.
adult has to reparent. Look, I don't care how good your parents tried to do.
Yeah,
We all make these mistakes as parents, but you can all, you know, there's such a level of purpose and
yeah,
intentionality that has to go into it. And if you're not thinking about that part, like you
yeah.
said, man, they're little sponges and they are seeing and recognizing all of it,
You better believe it. Every
even
single
when they
bit.
don't realize they are.
That's right.
So
That's
when they
right.
grow up and they have a behavior that is toxic, or they handle situations in a certain way, they don't even know why as an adult
Yeah,
they're doing things like that until they come into a discussion like this to be able
yeah,
to
yeah.
like go, oh, okay.
Or until somebody else actually has met both the mom and or the dad, and kid, you're like, oh my god, you're just like your mother.
Right, right,
And you're like, what? No, I'm not. Yeah, you are.
right,
Yeah,
right. No, because I do
but
say that about my son, because we have a lot of similarities as well, as far as just the way we handle anxiety and stuff like that. And so I know exactly where he's coming from, and I know how he operates.
hmm yeah,
And I see it because it's me.
right,
you
right,
know and
right.
so and it's not to say that I look at him and go, oh, okay, well, that's where I went wrong. I mean, there are places where I can see that I went wrong, but the bigger thing that I feel like, especially if you have adult children, is acknowledging, hey, you know what, I didn't do the best in this area of my life,
hmm
and you are living that right now. So if you learn anything from me, learn this, and be willing to, and I'm sure this goes back to yesterday too with authenticity, is be willing to admit where you were wrong,
Right.
or recognize where you've had a negative impact, and go, look, I'm working to change this about me, here's what I'm doing, and share that. Because that has been one of the biggest benefits with my adult children, is me getting into coaching and getting, all these certifications and education has
Hmm.
been beneficial because I share it with them.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
actually has managed to bring our family back together
Oh
where
yeah.
we were drifting, with the siblings, not being on the same page
Hmm.
and, just so much trauma that had beaten us up. And I just basically said, I'm not letting that win.
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh
not
yeah.
letting that win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I'm going to pause really quick, and I want to just first off welcome everybody new that's come in. Now, I did mention yesterday that I'm gonna allow some time for you guys to come up, ask a question, make a comment. Don't be offended. We're going to cut this. We're going to keep everybody short. So I'm going to have you come up, and you can share, and then I'll probably be bumping you back down to the audience, and then Deanna and I can answer your question if that's okay. So Fletcher, I'm going to have you come up, and welcome to the show.
Hey,
Hey, I'm
Fletcher.
um, that's my name is Fletcher. I go by the name of Mr. Extra. Mr. Extra. My question is that I want to know your opinion on this. Is it possible for your kids to not know their parents and still have behaviors of their parents, but them not guiding or influencing, yet similar in characteristics of them?
Now,
Okay,
go
Fletcher's
ahead.
really low for me.
Me
Trinity, can
too.
you repeat? Okay, did you hear what he's asked? Because I
No,
missed
no,
part
I
of
was
it.
about to. I was about to say the same thing. So Fletcher,
Fletcher,
if you can get closer to your mic, that would be awesome.
yeah.
Okay, my question is that can someone have the characteristic of their parents and not be around their parents at all, not know their parents, or maybe their parents died, but
Yeah,
yet they still have the DNA or the characteristics of their parents.
Mm, mm,
absolutely.
hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a whole show on this called Generational Trauma. And I spoke with a gentleman named Jeffrey Blunt. And we were talking about systemic racism and even how racism occurs inside of his culture. But yes, because epigenetics has shown that we carry all of that forward. So it is very possible for you to have those characteristics.
Hmm.
Not everything is learned. You have some things that pull forward, but a lot of things, a lot of things are learned.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my take on it. What do you think,
Yeah.
Trinity?
No, well, first off, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said, but yeah, you can definitely, I mean, first off, you do have genetics and you have all of that, so you can certainly pull those characteristics forward. And, but then, I mean, and again, though, we are still all our own, you're still your own person. So you're still going to be able, and you have choices that you get to make that you can decide and change certain things. And then there's others that are going to be ingrained, just the way it is. So,
Yeah, and I want you to think too on the fact that even though you have characteristics that might pull through generations, if you become aware, which is what we're doing, is trying to actually create awareness, then those characteristics and those traits are things that you can make choices about.
that's right.
And I
That's
do
right.
believe, even in your literal health, you know, we can change our genetics. Our genes can be turned on and off, and we are capable of doing that if we are aware of what is at play and what
Yeah.
it takes to make those changes.
Yeah.
So I think choice has a
Absolutely.
lot to do with everything. But
Yep, that's
yes, I
right.
mean, absolutely, I think that's a possibility for sure.
Yeah. Well, Fletcher, I hope did that answer your question, sir?
Oh, yes, it did. It did answer my question and it confirmed some things that I was thinking. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Fletcher. Absolutely. Now, this is actually a good spot. If anybody else wants to come up and ask a question or anything, please, by all means, take your moment now. Um, now, I was I was I was talking to Deanna before the show, and I said, "Hey, I said, today we're just going to free flow and talk. I'm not going to share an article." Well, I'm actually, and this is really, I don't ever get messages on the back end from anybody watching. To be honest, like I don't know if I ever, if I really ever have, but
That's
I've just
fun.
had, I just had two people actually mention an article, and I think it was because we were talking about we are disposable. So I'm going to
Hmm.
end the show today sharing this article, and
Awesome.
it's a short article, but um, But okay, so nobody else seems like they're going to be coming up right now. So, Deanna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna share this really quick. It's like I said, it's not that long, because I'd like to hear your input on this as well.
Okay,
Anyway,
cool. I'm excited.
but this is an article I wrote a while back, and it's called "We Are Not Disposable." And we live in a world where people, even those we once loved, are treated as if they were disposable. Without even talking about the issue, we move away from friends and family who disappoint us, and without so much as a goodbye, boom, they're out of our lives. Now, I'm not saying that that's an inappropriate response if someone's been abusing you, but being offended is different from being abused. And keep in mind that if your loved one did say something that ruffled your feather, chances are he or she would be willing to apologize. But if you just disappear without saying what went wrong, that person won't even have the chance to make up for the pain that you felt or maybe still feel. These days, instead of making the effort to work things out, people just stop returning texts and phone calls. Now, this may be easier than telling someone the truth about how you feel and why, but it's not going to give you the peace of mind or assurance that you're looking for. When someone does something inappropriate, it can trigger many unpleasant feelings and memories, many of which may have nothing to do with that person. It's as if all those negative vibes were in one mental filing cabinet that you push on top of anybody who hurts you. That, my friend, is called projection. Rather than push away someone who you've known for a long time or someone you love, letting him or her know that you've reached your limit can help that person change for the better, and it can save your relationship. You'd be surprised by how many people can't say they have old friends because they've engaged in this disconnection pattern most of their lives, and it isn't emotionally healthy. Relationships and friendships take effort, and nobody's perfect. Although it may be difficult for you to discuss your feelings with someone who's hurt you, and you may be scared to open the discussion, it is the only way to resolve your issues. A few well chosen words and taking the time to listen to one another could easily save your friendship or your marriage. People are not disposable. If you have ever had the experience of cutting someone out of your life only to feel a great loss later on, you know exactly what I mean. Family is everything. And for those who don't have one, friends become that family. Having people in your life makes you feel stronger and validated. And if you push them away, you will feel a loss as soon as your anger goes away. And it's much easier to hold on to positive feelings about the people in your life than to harbor negative ones. Walking around with anger and hurt in your heart does not make your life a better place to be. So try some conversation before you say goodbye or stop texting. When you're upset, you may not realize the importance of old friends and loved ones, but in time, you always do. So just remember, nobody is disposable. Nobody should ever feel or be treated that way. Not one single person. It's easy for us to get into these situations, and it's easy today. Just ghost. Just ghost people. They
Mm-hmm.
don't need to. Yeah, I don't need to give you a response. Deanna,
Right.
you said something that ruffled me. You know what? Pfft, block. I ain't got to respond to you.
Right. And
I
so
was
when
just
I
like,
exactly, and so when I talk about, deleting and unfriending and blocking, it is well after you've done everything you could possibly do to salvage something
absolutely.
because here's the thing, if you just go somebody, what you're left with is the same story that you're telling yourself, and it's never
Yeah,
it's never answered, right? It's never it goes to the next person and the next person, the next person.
that's
So
right.
9 times out of 10, in my opinion and in my experience, 9 times out of 10, if you approach someone and say, look, the story I'm telling myself is that you think I am stupid and can't handle the finances of the household,
Okay,
right?
right.
And when you approach someone, let's say you approach your mate like that, then they have the opportunity to say that your story is either true or false. Because,
Yeah,
right? Because our
yeah.
brains, how do our brains work? Our psyche, it works like this. Our psyche works to make sense out of every piece of information that it gets, and it fills in the spaces that are left blank with our own narrative.
That's right.
So a lot of
That's right.
times the story you're telling yourself is not right. Go listen to Brene Brown. She is amazing at explaining this concept.
I love it. Yeah.
The other thing too, and this brought up a TED talk I remember by Johann Hari.
Uh huh.
Um, and if you look him up and go look up his most popular TED talk, it is the opposite of addiction is connection.
Wow. Okay.
And it, I know it's kind of a little off topic, but I think it applies. And the reason why I think
No,
it
go ahead.
applies is that we don't want to throw away people. This is why I don't believe in tough love. And I didn't know it till I listened to his talk, and his talk was like, this makes so much sense.
That's
This is
exactly
why I
right.
don't this is why I don't throw people away.
Right.
Because you're not helping somebody by cutting them off. You are actually perpetuating the feelings that they have of feeling disconnected. And a lot
Yeah.
of times, what they need is the connection. So when I say to block and delete and unfriend, this is well after all of that. This is
Oh
well
yeah.
after the fact that you have done all that you could. And now all that you can do is protect your own peace and your own boundaries.
That's right. That's right.
You've been left with nothing else.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
so I mean, it pains me and it broke my heart, but I'm not an avoider. I'm not that personality. I do get that some people ghost because there's just simply avoid
Yeah.
confrontation. I'm
That's
not
right.
that person. I'm
That's right.
probably a little bit, maybe too much on the other side.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like that's one of my peeves, man. Like I don't I don't give a crap if I pissed you off, then fucking tell me I pissed you off. Don't just
Right,
like stop responding in general. Like yeah, because that is a
right.
surefire way. I'll get the message real quick, and we'll
Hmm.
just be done. Because like all that stuff has to go both ways, and and
Yeah,
especially if it's somebody that you've known or been connected to for a long time, then that's not a kind response, and that's
right.
not
And
you showing.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, and the door is open too. So like with this friend, we don't do much together. We don't hang out like we used to. We have people in common. We see each other from time to time. I am going to be completely nice and normal.
Right.
But the door is open whenever I've had the conversations, and whenever things shift or change, then my door is wide open for us to, resolve any of
Hmm.
our differences or get back to whatever, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, but on another level, you might follow news channels or sites that are completely negative or whatever in social media. And by all means, these people are not even people sometimes. Go ahead and protect your peace. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a different story on a different
Well,
level.
and you listen. You have to, and the whole concept too, right here too. I mean, everything that this kind of is really kind of coming back around is that it's okay for you to. It is okay for you to take the time to assess your own space and your own bubble in your own life. Okay, and then you make corrections as you need to. And sometimes though you've got to realize the people that need to be in your life, the people you want in your life, and the people that don't need to be in your life. Okay,
Hmm.
but you also have to take that time to realize the process is going on in your brain, the emotions, the feelings that need to go away, also the bad patterns that you need to break and get out of, the things that are dragging you down and making you lessen yourself rather than elevate yourself. Those are you got to take the time to do that too. It's not just everybody else's fault. It's sometimes it's our own bad patterns and routines that we've built that cause us to be there, and that
Right.
is part of that's where this whole three-part thing is kind of stemming towards is finding your truth means finding yourself.
Right. And it's a tough pill to swallow when you approach a situation honestly, assessing it and looking inward and not just outward and
That's
going,
right.
oh crap,
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
really about me and my fault. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
like we're doing right now, I am hosting a 21-day mirror work challenge. It started on Tuesday. All
I
right.
love it.
So we're on day 4. And I have people calling me from it or texting me from it going, wow, When you look at yourself in the mirror and you say the things that you need to say to yourself, you start to realize what your beliefs and your values are. When you
Yeah,
look at yourself in the mirror and you can't tell yourself that you love yourself, and more importantly, maybe more importantly, you can't tell yourself that you like yourself,
exactly.
um, that starts to bring up some things. And I had a day in this first 4 days, and I've done a lot of mirror work. And this one day was look at yourself in the mirror and talk to yourself like you're a kindergartner. The person that you see
I
in the
like,
mirror is your kindergarten self.
hmm
And tell your kindergarten self that
man.
she is safe, valuable, and loved. I love you. You are
Yeah,
safe. And when, I've done, like I said, a lot, but that day brought me to tears. I
right.
don't know why. I don't know why. Things come up for us, and sometimes we don't know why, but I'm
No, that's
accepting
powerful.
that. Right. I'm
Yeah.
accepting that and going, maybe I need to do some digging here. Because what
See,
is it
Deanna, I
about?
worry because if I look at my kindergarten self, we're probably both going to end up drunk at some point. So,
Oh, well, it happens.
no, I'm
You'll be
teasing, but no,
calling,
that's
hey,
powerful though.
virtual pints tonight.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah,
I
so I
love
mean,
that.
those are things too that you got to just, it's work. It's work.
It is.
It really
It
is.
is work.
So,
Well, my goodness, I want to. I'm going to take a moment here. First off, I want to, Deanna, thank you so much for
oh,
coming on
thanks
with
for
me. I
having
always
me.
love when we're talking together, and I want to. If everybody listen, there's a PsychCandy Empowerment Boot Camp that I was going to be doing virtual. Well, I'm not doing it virtual anymore. We're going to actually be setting a new date, and it's going to be happening in New Orleans. So it's going to be
Yay!
a live thing, and yes, Deanna, I hope for sure that you'll still be a part of that. But
Absolutely.
that's going to be in Deanna's city. So
That's
then
right.
we're going to all go to Deanna's house and have a barbecue. No, but seriously, it's going to be
It'll be a crawfish boil.
there you go. Oh, hey, there you go. But seriously, please, everybody, go to the website, check it out, and right now, don't register because, like I said, things are going to be changing. We're going to be setting a date. It's probably going to be in the fall at this point. It gives us better time to plan. It will be in New Orleans, and I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun stuff. I'm going to have some live music, live entertainment, and we're also going to have some very powerful talks. Deanna's going to be sharing what you do, and I want you to, Deanna, to share about your show, share what you're doing, and tell everybody how to find you.
Okay. So my show here is pretty much a passion project. It's called Laughter After Trauma. And what I'm doing here on this platform and then using it to broadcast out to any podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, is to share stories of everyday people who have triumphed over trauma and they found their laughter after. Because if we can, you can. And I think it's important for people to have connection and community and know that they're not alone. So that's what the show is about. The work that I do is I am a trauma life coach, but what I'm doing is providing people a system to designing their life. Most people who have been through trauma feel like they're stuck, that they're broken, that they don't know how to move from the space that they are to where they want to be. Some of them don't even know how to dream. So what I like to do is help them learn what their dreams are, look at the areas of their life and design it. Do it on purpose. You have the power within you. And that's the other thing I like about empowerment. We're not empowering you. When we talk about an empowerment boot camp, we can't empower you. You already have the power, but we're going to shed light on how you tap back into your own power to get to where you want to be. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's what I do in my coaching.
I love that so much, Deanna. Absolutely. And Deanna, it really does. Guys, if you're not following her, please give a follow.
Yeah,
And
my Instagram is in my bio. And then from there, you can pretty much find me anywhere.
I love it. And Summer,
It's going
welcome to the stage. Would love to hear from you. How's your Friday going?
pretty good. I'm a mother of 7, so if there's any
Wow.
background noise, I'm just giving that.
I
Love
love that.
it.
So I was having tech issues, and the only thing I would bring up is reparenting. I'm going through Dr. Gabor Mate's compassionate inquiry, and he has, in the realm of hungry ghosts, visiting not the behavior, but the core, kind of the inner child that Deanna kind of started introducing herself to through the mirror and speaking to her younger former self, I'm just now embarking on that intergenerational trauma aspect of reparenting and not having to place the guilt on someone else's behavior, not having to place guilt on yourself when it comes to your children or intergenerational trauma that's passed on, but just kind of having the opportunity to harness a reparenting and letting yourself be relieved of the guilt or the shame or the blame by reparenting. So it's something I'm still learning.
Deanna, I'd love for you to tackle.
Yeah, so I have so much. I could do a whole nother show here. So the thing is, this is so true. This is not about placing blame on parents. And that's why I said they are doing their level best. Unless you had an abusive parent, really, and even in those cases, oftentimes they are doing the best with what they know at that moment. And we as parents, I can't imagine parenting 7. I had 2 and it was a lot. Anyway, I don't know the age differences, but I hope you don't have teenagers and toddlers at the same time. But we as parents do the best that we can. You're doing this work on yourself. You're doing the very best that you can. Your kids, you will do the same thing for all your kids as far as providing, and yet they will internalize that differently. And so we all go through a reparenting process, and normalizing that and letting your kids know it's okay that you don't have to be like me. I'm going to accept you and love you no matter what. Explore, be you, do the things. They might get to this phase earlier in life than we did, right? I was 40 something years old in my second half of my 40s, maybe 46. I'm 53 now. That I started doing this work. My son is 32, not 32. He's 31, and he's doing this work. So to me, and my hub in life is legacy. It's creating the next generation, making sure I'm leaving an impact and moving that generation forward. To me, that's a win, because he's tapping into something so much earlier than I did, so that when he's teaching his kids, he can be teaching his kids at a very young age, even though they won't know what it means. Again, they're internalizing things. And each generation has that chance of improving and maybe recognizing their power and their value earlier in life, so that they can really just live their fullest life. That's what we all want, you know? So, yeah, I love that. I love that. Good job. And
Wow.
7 kids. Good job.
And wow, Deanna, you totally could. Like, this is a whole nother show, man. I love it.
Yes, I could go on and on, but I'm not, but I could.
I love
I'm a
it.
little passionate about this subject.
I know, I love your passion about it. And Summer, did that address your question and comment here? She might be dealing with the 7 kids.
Right. Right. She's like, I'm sorry, I only get 3 minutes. That's it.
That's right. I know. But no, I love it. Well, Summer, come back whenever you're able.
Love the number 7.
Okay, yeah,
there you are.
my tech issues are just it's locking up the fireside chats, and I do apologize, but I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Great.
Thank you so much, Summer. Thank you so much, and so glad to have you up here on the show as well. Well, I love this, and so I tell you, before I close out, Deanna, is there anything you want to share before I wrap up and do my ending?
No, I don't think I have anything to share. I do have some group life coaching coming up, and I do have a digital platform. If anybody has need of help in this arena, reach out to me. I will talk to you for free and see if we have something that will be a benefit for you in my programs. That's all I got.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Everybody, give it up. Give a good clap for Deanna there. And yeah, so glad to have you on the show, love. I do. I always love talking to you. And yes, I do want to do another virtual pints with you sometimes really soon.
You know, we have to do it tomorrow when I'm with Allison.
Oh, please. Please, let's.
We're doing the running of the bulls in New Orleans. Y'all. Okay, so if you know what that is in Spain, I think it is, right?
I do, yeah.
It's real bulls, but in New Orleans, it's the roller derby girls. And they have wiffle ball paddles. and
I
they
love
chase
it.
you through the streets of New Orleans. So I don't know what
That's
I've gotten
fun.
myself into, but Allison made me do it. That's all I got to say.
I love it. Okay, well, listen, I definitely I want to let's do a virtual pint tomorrow.
Okay.
I actually have a friend of mine coming in from out of town, and so I'm gonna have a friend with me, and we'll connect up and let's do it. Now I have a show. I'm playing a live show tomorrow night,
Okay.
so I won't be available from like probably
I would do
seven
it
p.m. my
early, you
time.
know?
Yeah, let's do it
It's
early.
happy hour anytime. Isn't any
Let's
hour
right.
happy hour?
Let's day drink,
Per
baby. I'm
per
all about it.
Mr. Depp, isn't any hour happy hour?
That's right. I love it. But yes, let's do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Virtual pints.
All right,
So,
good. It's a date.
all right, all right. Hey, so everybody listening, we'll start a room up. One of us will, either Deanna or myself. We'll start a room up for virtual pints tomorrow. And then I'm so curious about this. About this running of the bulls in New
Me too.
Orleans.
I've never done it, but apparently Allison does it every year. So
All right. Well, I'm very curious now. So you gotta inform us all so we can take part.
go
Well,
follow
guys,
me on
listen. I hope you.
Instagram because I'm probably not going to
Yeah,
come
I do.
live here. But if you guys follow me on Instagram, I'm sure there'll be some stories going on about it.
I love it. All right. Well, cool. All right. Well, guys, listen, thank you so much for being here. Deanna, obviously, thank you for being here and co hosting. Fletcher, Fiona, Summer, you were here earlier. And Deanna, thank you so much, guys, for being here. And listen, we do these shows, or at least I do my shows, and I know Deanna does hers, but this is, we hope you take something from this. Do something for yourself, for your life, to enrich yourself, to get to be the best version of yourself that you want to be. So until next time, guys, be happy, be healthy. Today is Friday. Do something absolutely fucking amazing for yourself. Even if it's running with the Bulls in New Orleans, go do something that's for you, that makes you happy and makes you feel good. So please join me for part 3 on Monday as I'm going to wrap this up. Deanna, I'm going to invite you to come back if you're able. And but Monday is going to be part 3 of this, so don't miss it. And it's going to be some really exciting stuff. And I'm also going to have some live music on Monday. So come be a part of
Oh,
that. It's
fun.
going to be fun stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, all right. Well, Deanna, have a blessed weekend. Everybody in the audience, have a blessed weekend. And I
And
will see you
thanks,
guys
Trinity, for having
really
me.
soon. Thank you, love. I
Thanks for
appreciate it
doing
so
your show
much.
too. The show is really valuable. So
I appreciate that so much, and so is yours. And
okay,
let's keep rocking it out and doing it. You
that's
know.
right. You guys
All
have an
right,
awesome
guys.
weekend.
Yep. Happy weekend.